By unanimous decree of the Galactic Council, the planet designated Earth is hereby ordered to surrender its sovereignty within one galactic cycle. Failure to comply will result in planetary cleansing. The message broadcasted simultaneously to every screen, speaker, satellite, and electric toothbrush connected to a network. It was delivered in flawless translations across over 7,000 human languages, including Latin, Morse code, Pig Latin, and several dead dialects thought extinct. It even auto-translated memes on social media to make sure the tone wasn't misunderstood. The tone, however, was definitely misunderstood. Within 12 minutes, #BringItAliens was trending globally. The first reply wasn't from a government, military body, or any official diplomat. It came from a podcast called Humans Against Galactic Bullies, hosted by a 27-year-old conspiracy theorist who live-streamed himself printing out the message, folding it into a paper plane, and launching it off his balcony while yelling, "Send this back to the council." The second reply was from a cat, or more accurately, a cat's Instagram account. The caption read, "You come to Earth. I bite." It got 4.2 million likes in an hour. By sunset, the aliens' threat had become the Internet's latest playground. In Geneva, under the shadow of the broken United Nations dome, a temporary structure erected after a swarm of climate drones mistook the original for a mating partner, a crisis meeting was held in a basement once used for storing vending machine snacks. Dr. Jasmine Ortega, theoretical physicist and the UN's lead science liaison, slapped the long printout of the galactic threat onto the table. "This is not a drill," she began, addressing an awkward collection of world leaders, military heads, and one holographic representative of Canada's Prime Minister, who was currently stuck in traffic caused by a llama parade in Ottawa. The U.S. Secretary of Defense scratched his head. "So they're serious?" "As a quantum aneurysm," Jasmine replied. "They've got a ship the size of New Zealand parked behind the moon and enough energy to vaporize cities." The French representative asked, "What do they want?" "Total planetary surrender. Immediate governance transfer to the Galactic Council. Or extinction." A silence fell. The kind of silence that usually precedes either massive war or international apologies. But then, the UK delegate raised her hand sheepishly. "We, may have already responded." Jasmine blinked. "With what?" "Well, the Foreign Office's social media account posted a gif of Winston Churchill flipping the V sign while the caption read, "We shall meme them on the beaches." "You're joking." It's been retweeted 6 million times. In a distant sector of the Andromeda Expanse, aboard the flagship Sovereign Entitlement, Supreme Executor Tsik the Rational observed Earth's response with unblinking eyes. He was silent for 6 entire micro-rotations. Then he clicked a mandible and turned to his assistant. Are they mocking us?" The aide, a young Zarnathi intern still oozing from molting season, adjusted his translator. "Sir, the Earthlings appear to be responding with sarcasm." Tsik narrowed his eyestalk. "Sarcasm? It's a primitive psychological defense mechanism. Instead of admitting fear, they joke." "About annihilation?" "Yes, sir." Tsik considered this. "Are they not aware of our history? We erased the scream moons of Calaber for refusing to update their planetary registration forms. Earth doesn't appear to have those. Or forms, really. Their most organized system seems to be Reddit." Tsik stared at the floating holodisplay. A video was currently playing, showing a human in a banana costume mock-threatening the ship with a toaster and yelling, "Freedom Toast is back on the menu." Do they believe this is some kind of performance? I think they might believe we are. In a bunker 200 meters beneath a Taco Bell in Arizona, Colonel Miranda Scott of the United States Cyber Defense Force was eating her 4th chili wrap and watching the madness unfold. "I love this planet," she muttered between bites. Around her, a team of digital war tacticians, meme analysts, and quantum codebreakers monitored global reactions. They weren't just studying internet noise, they were using it. "Ma'am," said her aide, we've traced the signal that hijacked the Council's channel. It came from a gamer server in Estonia called Earth_Revenge_420. Is that bad? Well, they've renamed the Galactic Dreadnought, Gerald. Colonel Scott grinned. Perfect. Let's roll with it. They uploaded a response via a backdoor satellite relay. The message was short, polite, and deadly confusing. Dear Council of Galactic Entities, Earth thanks you for your formal invitation to surrender. We are flattered. We respectfully decline but appreciate the offer. Gerald is welcome to observe. Snacks will be provided. Sincerely, Planet Earth. P.S. Gerald needs a repaint. The next day, the Council sent another message. You fail to understand the consequences of refusal. Resistance is futile. Your insolence threatens interstellar equilibrium. The humans replied with a looping 20-second video of a goat head-butting a steel wall while I Will Survive played in the background. It received 45 million views in 3 hours. Across Earth, chaos and comedy danced hand in hand. Prepper communities posted apocalypse cooking recipes. Yoga influencers offered cosmic energy realignment sessions to help Earth vibe higher than the death ray. The Vatican issued a statement asking the Galactic Council if they were prepared for eternal judgment. Meanwhile, in Detroit, an art student strapped fireworks to a lawn chair, pointed a camera at the sky, and yelled, "Take me, Gerald!" The rational paced in a growing state of non-rational agitation. They are defying us, not with force, but with mockery. That is a violation of Section 84B of the Conquest Codex. His aide hesitated. Section 84B was repealed after the Glarn Rebellion. Fine. Then it's a violation of dignity. We are a council of dominion, not entertainment. Another hologram activated. Earth had launched a weather balloon covered in glitter toward their ship. Attached was a flag that read, "We can see you, Gerald." "Sir," said the aide, "what if they're doing this because they know we won't fire?" Sick paused. "What are you implying?" "That perhaps Earth's weapon is unpredictability. If they were truly defenseless, wouldn't they panic? Instead, they ridicule us. Continuously. Unrelentingly. They're barbarians. They're something else." In a school in Nairobi, students watched the Galactic Threat video as part of an emergency education program. The teacher, a stout woman named Ms. Aking, clicked pause. "Children, what is our response to threats?" "Unity," they answered. "And what else?" "Humor." She nodded. "Even when afraid, we can still laugh. That is the human way." A boy raised his hand. "What if the aliens come anyway? Then we show them who we are." He thought about that. "Can we name their second ship Clarence?" She smiled. "Only if we make them regret parking the first one." By now, even the Galactic Council was divided. Some members wanted to proceed with sterilization. Others began studying human culture, quickly becoming addicted to Earth's strange digital rituals. Competitive hot dog eating, kung fu movies, slime videos, mukbangs, and chess boxing. On the 7th day, a vote was called: continue the conquest or open diplomatic channels. The decision came down to Tsik. He stared into the feed from Earth, currently a live stream of a massive global dance party titled, "We Ain't Dead Yet, Planetary Rave Against Oppression." At the center of it all, a man in a gorilla costume waving a sign that read, "We brought snacks. Now bring yourself, Gerald." Tsik closed his eyes. Then said the words no executor had ever said before. "Initiate Communication Protocol Zeta. Let's talk to these maniacs." The Galactic Council's diplomatic probe entered Earth's atmosphere at 3:14 Universal Time Coordinated. It was a sleek, self-contained orb of hyperalloy and compressed logic, armed with a quantum translator, defensive null fields, and exactly one function: begin peaceful first contact with an unyielding species. It landed, unfortunately, in Florida. Specifically, behind a gas station where two brothers were deep-frying hot dogs over a stolen jet engine. Cletus was the first to notice. "Hey Daryl, that space egg's got lights." Daryl, holding a Mountain Dew in one hand and a wrench in the other, squinted. "Think it's government?" "Nah. Government don't land that clean." They stared as the orb unfolded like a blooming flower and projected a shimmering hologram of Supreme Executor Tsik's face. "People of Earth," the hologram began solemnly, "we offer you this final opportunity. Lay down your primitive governance, and we may consider integration instead of eradication." Cletus blinked. "Integration? Like into a cult? Daryl, is this one of them space cults? I think it's like galactic taxes or some crap." The orb, sensing confusion, began replaying the message. That's when Daryl tossed a beer can at it. "Y'all better talk normal or get off our lawn." Elsewhere, in a United Nations war room beneath Geneva, the global leadership watched the live satellite footage with a kind of horrified fascination. Jasmine Ortega pinched the bridge of her nose. "Of all the places on Earth." Colonel Scott leaned in, smirking. "Honestly? This is exactly the chaos I was hoping for." The hologram of Tsik, watching the encounter from his orbiting flagship Sovereign Entitlement, stared in stunned silence. "Is that their formal response?" "Sir," said his aide carefully, "our translation AI is still trying to parse the meaning of 'get off our lawn.' It may be territorial." Tsik bared his fangs. "They insult us again. I believe they threw a beverage can at the emissary." "And the can bounced?" "Yes, sir. It bounced twice." The council escalated its attempt. If humans wouldn't listen to authority, maybe they'd listen to empathy. The second probe, equipped with an advanced empathy-driven diplomacy suite and neural resonance fields, was deployed directly into the United States Congress during a recess. Unfortunately, it was mistaken for a smart speaker. A janitor plugged it into an outlet and asked it to play jazz. The probe responded, "This unit is a representative of the Galactic Council. I come bearing peace, knowledge, and enlightenment." The janitor frowned. "Do you have Spotify?" The probe paused. "No." "You useless then," the janitor muttered and unplugged it. The humans, it seemed, had no central nervous system. No global command chain. No unified cultural doctrine. They were a planet of fragmented, overstimulated chaos gremlins all pulling in different directions. And somehow it worked. In response to the alien attempt at diplomacy, the people of Earth hosted a global talent show titled, "So You Think You Can Contact?" Participants dressed in aluminum foil danced under laser lights, and shouted love letters to Gerald into the sky. One man in Tokyo composed a symphony entirely from satellite interference. A woman in Lagos coded a chatbot in binary that insulted Tsik's mother 8,000 times per second. The Galactic Council tried to send a cease and desist. Earth replied by mailing them a glitter bomb. Tsik stood before the Council, visibly shaking with rage. "We have used empathy, reason, intimidation, and logic. And what has it earned us?" A projection behind him showed the latest Earth transmission, a TikTok of a child in a dinosaur onesie moonwalking across a map of the Milky Way with the caption, "Earth says, come at me, bro." The Council was silent. Ambassador H.R. Elvesh, a translucent jelly being with 12 doctorate degrees, finally spoke. "Perhaps we must reclassify humanity." "To what?" Tsik barked. "They are not a developing species. They are an emergent chaotic singularity." "That's nonsense." "Is it?" H.R. Elvesh turned toward the Council. "They have no apparent order. Yet they survive. They lack planetary unity. Yet they innovate. They use memes as cultural weapons. And worst of all, they're enjoying this." Tsik pointed at the footage. "They are mocking galactic law. And maybe," H.R. Elvesh said softly, "they don't recognize our law. Because they're writing their own." Back on Earth, the Department of Memetic Warfare was now fully operational. It wasn't real in any formal sense, just a loose coalition of hackers, comedians, artists, anarchists, and one nun with a YouTube channel. But their influence spread faster than any virus. Their strategy was simple: flood the galaxy's attention with absurdity. They launched a coordinated campaign called Operation Confuse the Hell Out of Them. Every hour, a new meme was transmitted into deep space. 1 minute, it was a dancing president. The next, it was a 3-hour podcast arguing why cows should be Earth's official representatives. Colonel Scott leaned over Jasmine's shoulder in the Geneva bunker, grinning like a madwoman. "We've hijacked their logic processors. They don't know if we're joking or not." Jasmine looked up from her screen. "Are we? God, I hope not." Meanwhile, a rogue team of international engineers and backyard inventors had formed something they called the Thank You Rocket. Built from recycled parts, duct tape, solar panels, and hope, the rocket's sole payload was a giant LED billboard. The message on the billboard? "Thanks for noticing us. Red Heart, Earth." They launched it from Mongolia at sunrise. It rose slow, shaky, but stubborn. It exploded 10 kilometers above ground. The debris spelled out LOL. In response, the Council attempted something drastic: a psychic message. A quantum mind burst delivered to the top 1% of Earth's most intelligent brains. A message encoded in math, emotion, and cosmic awe. It successfully reached 12 Nobel laureates, 3 chess grandmasters, a retired submarine captain with synesthesia, and a man named Kevin who once swallowed 17 magnets on a dare. Their responses were varied. Dr. Renu Sharma from Mumbai wrote a 300-page dissertation on the existential implications of the transmission. Kevin made a TikTok where he said, "Aliens just sent me brain mail. I replied with farts." Kevin's video got 98 million views. The Council called another emergency session. Six spoke through clenched mandibles. "This is no longer conquest. It's containment. If their behavior spreads, if other species begin to act like this, our entire galactic order will collapse." Ambassador H.R. Elvesh nodded solemnly. "Earth is not just resisting. They're contagious. Then we must act. But how do you fight an idea? A joke? An entire species that doesn't fear destruction because they think it might be funny." Six slammed a claw onto the table. "Then let's give them what they want. Open the war channel. If they want absurdity, they'll face obliteration." The Council hesitated. "Executor," H.R. Elvesh asked quietly, "are you certain you can win a war against a planet that treats war as performance art?" Sick growled. "We'll see how they perform, under fire." On Earth, a rumble echoed across the skies. The moon shimmered like it was cracking, and for the first time, people saw it. The sovereign entitlement, Gerald, descended from orbit. Every camera turned toward it. Every eye widened. Every joke stopped. Gerald's underside opened. Beams of energy charged, glowing with annihilation. For one terrifying moment, Earth held its breath. And then, a tiny, malfunctioning satellite, long since abandoned, drifted between the ship's targeting lens and its orbital stabilizer. It bumped the stabilizer with all the force of a sneeze. Gerald spun sideways. One of its cannons misfired, directly into its own comm array. The blast cascaded, causing a chain reaction across 2 subsystems and shutting down 30% of the ship's outer plating. Gerald was now visibly on fire. From Earth, it looked like a flaming donut. And across the world, humanity erupted. Someone yelled. Gerald slipped on a banana. Another, "Y'all okay up there, G-Money?" Colonel Scott stared at the live feed and whispered, "Did we just win by accident?" Jasmine Ortega laughed for the first time in days. "No. We won by being us." The sovereign entitlement spiraled awkwardly over the Pacific Ocean, trailing sparks, plasma, and the last shreds of Sick-S patience. Below, entire continents were watching the broadcasted malfunction unfold live. Millions cheered. Billions laughed. But Sick wasn't done. "We will not be mocked by a planetary circus," he roared, slamming a clawed fist into the war table. He activated every auxiliary system. Shielding surged. Cannons realigned. Drones launched like angry hornets into Earth's orbit, scanning, pulsing, preparing. The Council had been humiliated long enough. No more diplomacy, Sick growled. We will strike with full spectral force. We end this now. Sir, said his aide nervously, they've responded to our drone deployment. Sick narrowed his mandibles. With what? The aide hesitated, then pressed a button. The main screen flickered to life. It showed a music video. A highly produced, cinematic anthem featuring humans in capes, space suits, and banana costumes breakdancing on tank. The chorus? You came for war, so we brought the party. Sick stared. The bridge crew stared. The galaxy stared. They made a theme song, he rasped. Yes, sir. It's already charting. Colonel Miranda Scott leaned back in her chair in the Geneva bunker, sipping coffee with the quiet satisfaction of someone watching their insane gamble pay off. I told you, she said to Ortega. We can't outgun them. But we can out-crazy them. Jasmine Ortega, stunned, gestured to the global control screens. They just released 12 coordinated music videos across 6 continents. With synchronized choreography, Colonel Scott added proudly. Did you see the part where the alpacas formed the shape of Earth? This is a battle of ideology now, Jasmine muttered. We've weaponized absurdity. Sick had had enough. Target their planetary defense systems. Initiate full-spectrum bombardment. Which targets, sir? All of them. The sovereign entitlement powered up. Panels peeled open. Weapons hummed. And then Earth struck back. Not with missiles. Not with lasers. With pigeons. Hundreds, no thousands, of GPS-tagged pigeons launched from rooftops around the globe, each carrying reflective foil packets, designed and deployed by online communities led by physics students, amateur pranksters, and one very organized grandmother in Warsaw. The packets confused the alien drones, blinded sensors, jammed visual input. The drones began to misfire, spinning wildly in confusion. One tried to arrest a statue. Another detonated itself against a moving ice cream truck. Sick gaped. They've biohacked countermeasures? His aide nodded. Yes, sir. With birds. In a conference room on the Moon, Earth's newest, hastily assembled off-world embassy built from repurposed shipping containers and 3D printed toilets, Ambassador Una Lee prepared for the last chance at peace. She stood before the Council's holographic jury, heart pounding. Her hair was singed from a microwave accident. Her translator earpiece still buzzed from interference caused by a rogue karaoke signal bouncing off Neptune. But she had something no other ambassador in galactic history had ever brought to the negotiating table. A rubber chicken. Esteemed members of the Council, Una said, holding it high. This is our greatest weapon. Confused murmurs rippled through the alien ranks. It squeaks, she said solemnly. We don't know why. We just know it makes things better. She squeezed it. Squeak. Silence. Then a single giggle. From the gelatinous ambassador of the HRRN. And that was the turning point. Back aboard the sovereign entitlement, Sick was unraveling. They're laughing in session now, he screamed. Yes, sir. The HRRN ambassador just ordered 20 rubber chickens for negotiation protocol. This is a disease. Outside his ship, Earth launched another strike. This one was even worse. They beamed up reality TV. Not just any show, an international collaboration where humans locked themselves in a giant dome and competed in challenges designed by online voters. Episode 1. Which of these people is actually an alien? Episode 2. Can you outsmart a goldfish? The aliens watched. And then they subscribed. Sick stormed off the bridge, screaming into the void. On Earth, the Department of Memetic Warfare had evolved. Now fully staffed, it operated like a cross between a psychological ops center, a film studio, and a rave. A giant rotating board listed global psychological state. Confidence, high. Fear, low. Confusion, maximum. Jasmine Ortega watched the screen with a scientist's eye and a child's wonder. They're overwhelmed, she said. Every response we give rewrites the rules. They expected submission, hierarchy, fear. We gave them chaos, memes, and crowdsourced innovation. Speaking of which, Colonel Scott said, the Netherlands just launched a weather balloon that projected "Know You" in 50-foot letters. And India's sending up a satellite that broadcasts baby laughter. And someone in Australia mailed them Vegemite. They opened it, said a technician. We think that may have caused one of their diplomatic ships to crash. In the Galactic Council's main chamber, Ambassador H.R. Elvesh called for an emergency vote. Members of the Council, I propose that Earth be reclassified. 6 stormed in. They must be punished. No, H.R. Elvesh said calmly. They must be understood. He activated a new data sequence. Observe. Footage displayed Earth's historic chaos. Wars, discoveries, music, fire, rebellion, pizza, accidental genius, and unintentional comedy. But also unity, resilience, imagination. These beings are not bound by order. They thrive in entropy. They suffer and yet laugh. They fear nothing, not even extinction. Sick hissed. They're insane. No. They're human. Back in orbit, the sovereign entitlement charged its primary weapon. One last test. One final show of dominance. A blast large enough to shatter the ozone layer. Colonel Scott got the alert. Final shot, she said. They're actually gonna do it. What do we have left? Jasmine asked. Scott looked at her team. Engineers. Hackers. Artists. Gamers. She smiled. Everything. Earth's final message to the galaxy launched 30 seconds before the blast. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even words. It was a video. Of a child. Holding a sign. Written in crayon. We're small. We're loud. We mess things up. But we're trying. Please don't go. The child looked up. Smiled. And the video ended. No explosions. No boasts. Just vulnerability. Real. Unfiltered. Sick's claw hovered over the firing control. But he didn't press it. Not because he felt pity. But because he felt seen. In the aftermath, Gerald didn't fire. He turned. And left. Billions watched as the ship vanished into the stars. Earth held its breath. Then it exhaled. Across continents, people danced in the street. Not out of victory. Out of relief. And celebration. They had survived not because they were stronger, but because they were human, unpredictable, defiant, and somehow lovable. Sick's final report was one line. Earth is unconquerable, not by strength, but by soul. 6 galactic cycles after the failed conquest of Earth, the Galactic Council assembled again. But this time there was no talk of planetary cleansing. Instead, the meeting was called to order by a jelly-based lifeform wearing a t-shirt that read, I survived Gerald. Ambassador H.R. Elvesh cleared his throat, figuratively, since his species had neither lungs nor throats, and addressed the council. Esteemed members, we are gathered not to judge Earth, but to learn from it. An uneasy silence followed. Somewhere in the chamber, a hologram played Earth's final message. The one with the child and the crayon sign, on loop. No one had dared delete it. Not out of sentiment but reverence, because, despite everything, Earth had changed them. Humanity, meanwhile, had no idea how close it had come to annihilation. They only knew Gerald had left. They saw it streak across the sky one final time like a retreating god, sparks trailing like fireworks. The world held its breath for a week. Then it got weirder. Alien junk began falling to Earth, fragments of Gerald's damaged external hull, pieces of tech wrapped in unreadable warnings, a chunk of metal that floated 5 inches off the ground and smelled like burnt cinnamon rolls. Humanity did the only thing it knew how to do: experiment with it immediately. By the second week, someone had turned one of the fragments into a self-heating grill. By week 3, a team in Brazil used another shard to create a hoverboard that could only fly when playing 80s music. By week 4, A teenager named Zoe from Nairobi reverse-engineered a communications relay from a dented alien lens and used it to ping the Galactic Council. Her message? "Hi. Just checking in. Are you guys okay?" Gerald seemed upset. We made him a card. It featured handprints, glitter, and macaroni glued to a piece of cardboard. The council didn't reply. Not yet. Earth, however, moved on in the most human way imaginable. The event became a holiday. Gerald Day. Celebrated with fireworks, chaotic parades, prank contests, and a solemn moment where everyone turns to the sky and says, "We're still here." UNESCO declared memes a form of cultural heritage. The Vatican released a theological paper titled, "Was Gerald a Test of Faith or a Celestial Joke?" And for the first time, all 195 countries voted unanimously on something. They opened Earth's first official interstellar embassy. It was built inside an abandoned IKEA outside Stockholm. Naturally, within the Galactic Council, things were no longer the same. Species that had never laughed before began holding weekly Earth comedy showcases. Diplomats adopted human slang, occasionally horrifyingly out of context. Trade treaties began to include emoji footnote. The phrase, "pulling an Earth," entered galactic lexicon as shorthand for doing something so insane it works. Most troubling of all, Sick the Rational had disappeared. His last known message was broadcast to his remaining war fleet. "They're not a species. They're a genre." He was last seen heading into the unknown spiral with nothing but a copy of Shrek 2 and a bag of Earth snack cake. In the Geneva bunker, Jasmine Ortega sat on the edge of a desk, staring at a new signal bouncing around Earth's satellite. "Another alien transmission?" Colonel Scott asked, entering with a burrito. "Sort of," Jasmine said. "It's not hostile. No threats. Just questions." "Questions? Yeah. This one says, 'How did you build so much with so little?' Another says, 'Why are your children smarter than our generals?'" Scott raised an eyebrow. "What's your reply?" Jasmine smiled. "The truth." She typed. "We're scared all the time. We're messy. We break things. But we fix them. We argue. We love. We laugh because we're afraid. We cry because we care. We keep trying because that's what we do." The send button blinked, and somewhere, far beyond Earth, thousands of species received it. Zoe's message, the glitter-covered macaroni card, was enshrined in the Galactic Archive. It became a pilgrimage site, not because it was powerful, but because it reminded everyone of something they had forgotten. That empathy is power. That chaos can be courage. That not every battle is won with lasers. Some are won with lunchboxes. One alien race, the Zinth, visited Earth 2 years after the failed invasion. They asked for nothing. They just showed up. Zoe met them in her school cafeteria. They bowed. Offered her a gift, a glowing sphere of compressed starlight. She gave them a sticker that said, "Good vibes only." They cried. In time, humanity grew bolder. They built ships. Not elegant dreadnoughts like Gerald, but clunky, weird, charismatic monstrosities covered in graffiti and solar panels, running half on AI, half on duct tape, and 100% on Audacity. The first one they launched was called OOP. The second was definitely not a weapon. The third was Gerald Jr. They broadcast radio waves everywhere they went. Sometimes music. Sometimes knock-knock jokes. Sometimes just static filled with whispers like, "Hey Galaxy, we see you. You're weird too. Wanna hang out?" And slowly the Galaxy answered. Not with dominance. Not with judgment. But with curiosity. Aboard a new galactic peace station, Ambassador H.R. Elvesh stood with dozens of diplomats as Earth's first official interstellar representative arrived. She wore combat boots, a sequin blazer, and a necklace shaped like a rubber chicken. "Ambassador Riley Quinn," she said, sticking out a hand to the nearest alien, who promptly fainted. "Sorry," she said. "Humans touch a lot. You'll get used to it." They did. Eventually. And they learned. About Shakespeare, and tacos, and skateboards, and the haunting power of an Adele ballad. They learned Earth was more than its chaos. It was alive. And that was contagious. One cycle later, the Council drafted a new protocol, Earth Clause 1A. In the event of planetary contact with Sol 3, all emissaries must undergo psychological resilience training, meme fluency courses, and exposure to free-range Earth humor before deployment. Under that clause, in small print, it read, "Do not under any circumstance threaten Earth first." Years passed. Earth spread, not by conquest but connection. They became known not as conquerors, not as geniuses, but something far more terrifying. Influencers. Alien teens mimicked human slang. Entire planets hosted cosplay events based on Earth myth. Galactic musicians tried, and mostly failed, to replicate Earth's unintentional harmonies. A planet called VRRV changed their anthem to "Never Gonna Give You Up." They didn't get the joke, but they felt the joy. And that was enough. Back on Earth, the child who held the crayon sign grew up. She became a teacher. On the first day of class, she asked her students, "What makes us human?" A quiet boy in the back raised his hand and said, "We laugh even when we're scared." She nodded. Exactly. And above them, the stars blinked. Not in warning. In recognition. The final council vote was unanimous. Earth would not be erased. Earth would not be ignored. Earth would be watched. Because something new had emerged in the galaxy. Not a superpower. Not a threat. A reminder. That unpredictability is not a flaw. It's the beginning of freedom. One final message was sent to Earth from a distant system whose name humanity couldn't pronounce but translated roughly to, "We don't get you. But we want to." Earth replied in under a second. Same. "Wanna play Mario Kart?" And just like that, the galaxy changed again. Not with a bang, but with a blue shell. Because in the end, Earth wasn't saved by its strength. It was saved by its soul. And the galaxy never saw the punchline coming.